Hello and welcome to another episode of Awakened and Unfiltered. I am so excited today, guys, because I have Carmelo and he is the founder of Ascend over in Salem. And I know you guys hear me talk about it all the time. So I'm so excited for you all to get to know Carmelo today. So Carmelo, can you introduce yourself?
Hi guys, thank you very much for having me. My name is Carmelo. Like she said, I've had a thing get lifted for 5 years in Salem, and we're just so blessed to be in a city full of such magic.
They just celebrated their anniversary as well and expanded. They do aura pictures. I know that you guys can see it behind me right there for those of you that are watching on YouTube. All those aura pictures, I get them done every single time I go there. So it's my little collection. And that's pretty much what their store is like known for, besides all the amazing services and readings and things that they do and products and crystals that they sell. But they truly are like such a family over there. And I just thought, what an amazing opportunity to get to know Carmelo. And you can see the face behind the amazing store of Ascend Get Lifted. So we just wanted to get to know him a little bit and just get a little bit inspiration of how he got to where he's at and maybe give you guys a little touch of what it takes, the inspiration, the seed that we're going to plant here today as we hear from Carmelo. So, Carmelo, how would you say that this dream of yours started? How was the seed planted for you, as far as maybe even how you got into your awakening, how you stepped into this? Like, how was that for you?
Well, I'll first share going back to high school. I remember when I was a senior in high school applying for colleges, and I wasn't spiritual back then. I mean, of course, spirit was always within me, but I didn't know what that was back then. And I'd heard entrepreneurship, like you need to go to school for entrepreneurship. And at that time, I had no idea what entrepreneurship was. So at the end of the day, I believed that my soul path was always meant to own my own business. And here we are. And I think what got me into spirituality was I was working in corporate retail for a very popular shoe and accessory brand. And this was back in 2014. And something was in me that said, you have to get a Reiki session. Now, at that time, I had no idea what Reiki was. But again, Spirit was just talking with me, and I heard, get a Reiki session. So I went on Groupon and I found a session at the House of Intuition in LA, and I did a Reiki session, and I will tell you, I was scared because after the session, it awakened so many things within me. And when the practitioner was telling me like what she felt at the time, I'm like, is this shit crazy? Because I didn't want to believe it, you know?
Yeah.
And then it took me 6 months after that experience to have, or maybe the guts to go back. And I met a practitioner there. Her name was Amy Bello, and she became my spiritual teacher. I took her Reiki class. It was like meditation, Reiki. And after that, I was hooked. And so I would go see her for her classes every Tuesday. And that's when I got attuned in Reiki. I did level one with her, level two, then I did level three. And then I did level four to become a master teacher so I could teach it. So that's how I got into it. And this was after I did all of my training with Amy. This was 2015. And I was still working in corporate. And I was that corporate guy from, 9 to 6. And then on nights and weekends, that's when I started my spiritual journey and started helping clients and doing Reiki, energy healing, chakra balancing. Then I got into sound healing. And then I realized that my voice was a way that I could connect with my clients by using the vibration as a way of sound healing. So then I incorporated music into my sessions. And then it was the beginning of 2018. I woke up and Spirit was like, you need to quit your corporate job. And I had no plan. I was a responsible person. I had savings and a 401k, but I never, didn't have a quit my career fund. And I'll never forget it. I was actually having brunch with my husband and my boss at the time. And I was like, I told them both at the same exact time, I'm gonna resign and give my notice.
That had to be
And
super scary.
and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yes. I need to start living in my most authentic self." And as much as I'm grateful, because I was with that business for 16 and a half years,
Wow.
for a long time.
Yeah.
But I knew that that chapter was ending and it was time to me to go full force. And so I gave like a month notice and did what I had to do to transition. And I've been on this journey full time since February of 2018.
Wow. That had to be so scary for you to just quit and just kinda start over, but it's safe to say that spirit was already kinda lining you up for that. It's already like, "Oh, let's teach him, let him learn all of these things, go to school, learn the background of corporate, learn all of that, and then let's just give it to him where he just kinda quits everything." And I think that that happens to a lot of people on their path.
There was no plan. I just knew that spirit, my guides, my ancestors, that they were going to support me. And let's be honest, going back to 2018, my husband, he was scared shit because at that time, I held the health insurance and I was more the head of the household at that time. So it was really scary, but I just knew that this was my path and this is what I had to do. And so literally we were living in Los Angeles at that time. And also when I quit that corporate job, it was that message that you need to go to Boston because there's women in Boston that need your help. And at that time, my mom was in her mid 60s, and I also wanted to make sure that I would see my mother and not regret not spending time with her
Yeah.
later in life. So I would travel 1 week a month to Boston in 2018. And that's when I developed a whole community of women that needed my help, but to hold space for them. And that's when I started teaching meditation classes. And so I brought people that needed to chill out and learn how to connect to their mind, body, and soul. And that's where I would hold meditation classes and I would promote myself on Facebook and Instagram and really put myself out there. And anyone that wanted to listen to me about spirituality, about connecting to your soul, even trying to be non toxic and use essential oils, like I was just really trying to get people on the more holistic path. And if you would listen to me, I would talk to you. And so for 2018, 2019, that's what I did. And then 2020 comes, and I was literally about to plan my first international retreat in Bali. This
Oh,
was January of 2020.
mhm.
And then one of my friends was like, "Wait, haven't you heard like what's going on with like this virus?" And I'm like, "What?" And then, the world shut down March 2020. So I didn't have that retreat, obviously. And I built my business doing live meditation classes and seeing people for private sessions. So when the world shut down, I'm like, how am I going to make a living? So that's when I got really scared because, for those past 2 years, I was letting spirit run my life. And so that's when I said, okay, we need to go online because if everyone's stuck at home, I need to bring my classes online. And I will tell you, I'm an elder millennial, so I'm not great with technology. So I barely use Zoom because of my corporate role. We didn't use Zoom because it was all face to face and we did conference calls, you know.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how to use Zoom. And then that's when I connected with my best friend, Nicole, and someone else from my high school, Adam. And we went on Zoom and we did our first Zoom class. And we had no idea what we were doing, but we made it. And then a week later, a third cousin of mine from Boston calls me and she says, "Hey, I see you doing online sessions on Zoom. And I have an 84-year-old woman in Salem. Her name is Barbara, and she doesn't know how to go online, but she would love to do what you're doing." So I called her and we hit it off. We like talked for 3 hours. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like my new spiritual grandma. And so I put Barbara online on Zoom with my clients and we did like a mediumship course. And it was very successful. And a lot of the students learned a great deal from Barbara. And at that point, it was June of 2020. And that's when businesses were able to open up again.
Mhm.
And Barbara said to me, "Hey, I can't get vaccinated, right now. So can you come to my shop and work for me?" and come to Salem. And at that point, I was living in Vegas. And I
Mhm.
left LA, went to Vegas, and I'm like, sure, I'll come to Salem, but I just have to be able to see my clients to make a living. And then whatever the shop makes, you can have it. So to make a long story short, I dragged my husband and we went to Salem of June of 2020. And we were there for that season. And this is when it was still the pandemic. People had to wear masks. You only have like 15 people in the store. And I literally would do readings the whole day. And at the end of that season, Barbara said, "Hey, listen, I don't want to reopen my shop after this. I feel called just to give you my lease." And so that's how I ended up in Salem. So let's rewind, go back to March of 2021, and I was able to help Barbara sell a lot of her inventory to liquidate it. And then we closed for renovation in April of 2020. And then Ascend was born June 16th of 2021. And so I share that story because if I never had quit my corporate job in 2018, I would have never been on this journey. And if I wasn't on that journey, I wouldn't have had to pivot and done meditation classes on Zoom. My cousin would have never saw me do those Zoom meditations. And then I would have never met Barbara.
I love that you share how you trusted spirit, how you trusted the calling, the inner knowing of just doing what you had to do and just knowing that you were going to succeed at it no matter what. And I think that's one of the hardest things that people have like on their spiritual journey when they are knowing they want to do something, but there's that fear, that voice in the back of the mind that's telling you, don't do it, you can't do it, you're not going to succeed. And that's something that I really talk about a lot because sometimes that voice wins, right? And that's what stops people from really just going on the path and just shooting their shot and just almost, for me, it's like the fool card, right? We're just going to jump off the cliff and just kind of see where we land. And I love that you shared that story because I feel like for anybody out there that's listening and they are kind of in this place of should I do it? Am I capable? Is it going to be successful? And I don't think anybody knows. You're not supposed to know what's going to happen. You just got to feel the pull, the passion, and know that whatever it is, it's meant to be a part of your path. And your story alone just shows how spirit really lined you up for that. Even in the moments where we don't know what's happening, especially with where you worked prior to all of this, where you went to school, you learned so many things behind the business aspect. And then you got called to move back to Boston.
So I go back and forth. But what's crazy of that is that, when one door closes, you have to keep on going. So what I didn't share was before the pandemic in 2019, when I was still doing the meditation classes and everything with my best friend Nicole, I wanted to get my music background back into spirituality. So we were developing something called Karma Kids, where we were going to do music and play for
Yeah.
parents and toddlers. And we created music, curriculum. I had a music director. We were creating our own music for this. And then that's when the pandemic happened. And so we had to shut all of that down. We were literally, when I was planning that retreat in Bali, I was also planning a teacher training for all of the teachers that were going to teach the music to the kids. And we had to cancel all of it. And so that's when we pivoted. And I literally said to my best friend, Nicole, do I have to like go to Trader Joe's and get a job like during this pandemic? Like, am I going to survive? And she says, absolutely not. We're going to go online and we're going to share our love for spirit meditation online. And so again, I could have pivoted and went back into, you know, what I was doing before,
Yeah.
but it was like, no, this was the path. So if you are out there listening, I could have, and back when that pandemic happened, could have been really lost because at that point I lost everything that I was building for those 2 years. But you got to keep going and know that spirit has a plan. And that if you are authentic and you are honest and you give back to the universe what you give, the universe will always have your back.
Yes.
I believe that.
Oh my gosh, I believe that too. That's literally what I tell everybody all the time. It's like if you're leading with your heart, yes, there'll be some bumps along the way, but that's just a part of the process. We grow. But at the end of the day, When there is something that you are meant to do and spirit has it there for you, any which way, it's gonna happen. You're gonna succeed at it, and I love that you shared that story because if anything, that really will let people reflect, whether they're on this journey right now and maybe they're at that moment, maybe they're at that crossroads and they're like, what do I do? Should I just stay in this place where I'm safe and I know that this is what I have, or do I open that door and keep going without knowing what's going to happen next? And I even feel like I needed this conversation today because that's literally, I think, there's so many different doors. And this is inspirational for me, just watching you and just seeing how you are very heart driven. I know that Ascend do fundraisers and things like that because I believe I had seen something.
I mean, philanthropy is really important to me. I will never forget where I come from.
Yeah.
And no matter how much Ascend grows, it is important to give back.
Yes.
So what I think you were referring to is that we were the title sponsor for Nagli's Red Party.
Yeah.
Nagli is the North Shore Alliance for Gay Youth.
Yeah.
And as a queer founder, owner, it's really important to remember myself as a youth. And, I wish that I could have had this organization to go to when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So it's really important to give back. And also, I'm on the board of my high school, the Boston Arts Academy, because that place, I'll never forget, the space that school held for me to accept who I was as a human and my authenticity and my creativity. So yeah, so those two organizations, we give back a lot. And, even when we didn't have money, we still chose to give.
Yes, you know what? Like I'm just listening to you and I'm taking it all in because that is something that people will allow to hold them back. The fact that maybe they don't have enough money. So how do I give and receive? So that's something that may put somebody in a place where they're afraid to do something. But I'm just like you with the thought process of it's like a revolving thing. There has to be a way of giving back. Sometimes it's not always monetary, sometimes it's just time, sometimes energy, sometimes it's just a listening ear. If someone needs a conversation, maybe they need like a moment to be heard. You guys had your fifth anniversary and you guys are doing something really big.
Anniversary, we had an Ultimate Salem giveaway because we were gonna throw a big party, and I said, "You know what? I don't wanna do that. I wanna reward the customers who give back to us and, spend their time, their energy with us, and also, I really wanted to give back to Salem because I feel so blessed to be here. This is such a magical community, and to have a business where I can walk down the street and feel accepted for who I am, it really matters to me. And so we had an Ultimate Salem trip. I'm obsessed with Bravo, so I don't know if you have anyone who watches Real Housewives out there. So I was trying to recreate that with an ultimate trip to Salem. So it was 3 nights, 4 days, everything included, all the food you could think about. I curated all the menus and where they're gonna go eat. Tons of shopping. We're supporting over 30 stores with gift cards. And nothing is sponsored. We're paying for everything because I wanted to give back.
Wow, that's amazing. So whoever the lucky winner is, they're in for a beautiful trip. That's so exciting. Oh my gosh. For any of you guys listening out there and you've never been to Salem in Massachusetts, you absolutely need to go. You really do. And make sure you stop by Ascend to get your oral photo taken. You'll get the most amazing experience. Everybody is so kind, so welcoming. It's just always been one of my favorite places to go to. It's actually always my first and last stop. Like I go several times on my trip and I make it my business to go. So make sure you put that on your travel agenda.
Mentioned the team at Ascend, and that's where I just wanted to talk really quick about them because the people that we have is the rhythm and the beat of the brand. We have team members that have been with us 5 years, 4 years, 3 years. We have a very seasoned team, and there's nothing gimmicky about the team. Everybody is heart led. They believe in the work that we're doing, the mission, and that we're all guided by spirit and that energy matters. Sometimes people are coming into our store because they need us to hold space for them. Maybe they're not doing a reading or a service or a healing, but maybe they're just buying a crystal or they only have $8 and they can buy just one crystal. we need to hold space for that person because they're coming in obviously for a reason. And my people know that we're lucky to be there. We're lucky to have them.
Anytime that I have walked into that store, like, I've always felt welcomed. It felt like I was there 100 times before, but it's always such a beautiful space, and the energy always feels very loving. I'm big on energy too. I'm big on feeling, so I definitely felt it immediately, and I was like, "Oh, I really love this place, and it's so airy, so light, the displays." Whoever does the displays at Ascend, you are amazing. I don't know if you have a particular person that does it. Oh, it's you? So I love the color coordination. It's always very point. So it's just, it gives you the magical feeling of just kind of walking through there and you kind of feel drawn. I don't know about anybody else. There's that little pull you get when you feel drawn to a particular like crystal or something. And of course, anybody at Ascend will help you get the meaning or what it will help with. And I have this like obsession with the jewelry over there. I believe that Ascend has the most amazing collection of moldavite.
So, well, actually, thank you for saying that because speaking of Moldavite, we just acquired a brand new jewelry business in December. So, for a couple of years, we've been working with Katie and Jacob, who had Arcadia Designs, and they actually have land in the Czech Republic where the Moldavite comes from. And so we took over that in December. And so now that jewelry is going to grow and expand. And I'm really proud of it. And Katie and Jacob are staying on with us. We have the land still in Czech Republic. So there's way more coming with that.
Oh my gosh, they really do have the best collection though. Every time I go in, I always buy a ring and I'll put it somewhere and I never find it again. So I always feel like maybe somebody was meant to have that or it just did its job. Because I'm always like, I'm the Moldavite girly. Like, I want the change now. I need
Yeah.
everything to put me on fast track, cut everything out that I don't need, and put me on the fast track of where I need to go. So that's kind of what I feel with Moldavite. The way that they connect the jewelry, because I know you'll have paired with other crystals.
Really specialize, and that's what I love about the designs from Katie and Jacob is that they don't just do moldavite. They pair moldavite with citrine, moldavite with garnet, and they're designing it because once we take the moldavite from the ground, we keep the shape that it comes from the ground. We just polish it, make it look a little, shiny and nice, and then they're pairing that. So there's a lot of intention into it, and I think it's important because we're not just selling jewelry, we're not selling fashion, we're selling intentions. And every single piece that we create is meant for a customer for their journey.
Yes, yes, and I'll tell you this, I live all the way in New York, and when I can't find my way to Salem, I am going to buy my jewelry from Ascend, and I'll show you guys real quickly that are just viewing this. I love this. This is very personal to me. It's like a death and rebirth, but this is a obsidian, and the quality is just it's top notch. And then I also have this, which I never take off. It's my citrine bangle. Very good quality, amazing. I love their jewelry, so you can also order online.
Actually, coming out with the new birthstone collection because since we mixed materials, we want to be able to put citrine with another stone. So we're going to have pendants, rings, bangles, earrings. So I'm really excited about that launch coming out.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait to see it because I'm definitely going to be shopping. It's definitely my thing, my go-to for your jewelry. I'm always checking on the site for new jewelry. So make sure you check if you're listening and you're watching, check out their website. The links are going to be below. So, Carmelo, I wanted to ask you because I know you said that you just started getting back into doing your healing work and you did take some time off. How has that been for you? And I know that you also have expanded. Would you like to touch on that a little bit just to get people to know?
Yeah, so before we opened Descend in 2021, I was a hands-on healer. I would hold space for clients privately and in group sessions. But when we opened Descend, I had to put the CEO hat on and I had to really create the business. It's been 5 years, but it's been a journey those
Hmm.
5 years. So with the fifth anniversary, my guides were like, okay, you need to realign yourself because I have an amazing team. I brought in someone from my past corporate days who is now our general manager and director of operations. So I have the time to hold space again. So for the first time in 5 years, I'm finally offering my sessions. My sessions, I don't read people. I work with energy. I mean, I do offer readings, but I'm just not in that space of my life anymore to do readings. I
Mhm.
want to do the hands-on healing. So it's a mix of energy balancing, chakra work. I connect my voice as a mechanism for healing and vibration. I want to be able to help somebody clean out negative energy, release shame, guilt, and also we hold trauma in our body. So, I can't legally massage people because I don't have my massage therapy license, but I manipulate the energy to release the trauma out of the body by using energy, by using sound, vibration, and just hold space for people.
Yeah, that's so important, especially just the stress that people walk around with today, just the stress of the world and just life. People need a safe space. And that's just beautiful that, you've decided to step back in and just even just find your uniqueness because I love that you used to do readings, but you're like, you know what? Like, yeah, no, this is kind of where I'm feeling drawn. I'm drawn to doing this. And I think that spiritual practitioners on this journey, they don't realize how much their journey shifts. I'm a firm believer we have the ability to tap into all things. We all have these abilities within us. It just takes the awareness to really open them up. But I feel like when you're stepping into this journey, it's so exciting when you're awakening and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I can hear things, I can see things and sense things that I am just more aware." It could be so wild. I want to do this and this because there's so many different avenues that people could take on their spiritual journeys. They could do astrology, they could do past life readings, Akashic records. There's so many different modalities, but I love that you really listened and you just listen to your uniqueness. And I think that's what people forget. Like we all have something very unique that we feel called to. And that's where our heart is leading us in the moment. And sometimes people are not comfortable with that shift of letting something go because it's like, I'm leaving a part of myself behind. Is that meant to be? So how did you figure that out within yourself? Maybe somebody out there can understand what that felt like for you to just kind of say, you know what, I'm just going to pay attention more to this because this is what I feel drawn to.
Right. It's really important to just honor your uniquenesses, like you said. And at Ascend, we have the aura photography. So I wanted to mix the aura photography with the healing, and I wanted to show the client, look, this is what we're transforming energetically. So what I didn't mention with my session is that the client starts with an aura photo. We do the healing session, and then we do another photo. So I can show the client what energy we moved, what colors we moved, and what was the before and after.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I don't think I've ever heard of that before. So that's quite unique because not only are you showing this is what it was, but look at the shift. And that just gives more I guess credibility is what some skeptics would say because
Sure.
you want to see what the difference is. And I love a healthy dose of skepticism. So I feel like I love that you're doing that because that really just shows people like, look, where I'm not just here, moving things and maybe you don't get to sense and feel it at the moment, but you will see because that I feel like when it's just like you said at the beginning, when you had your first Reiki session you didn't really feel it right away. It's like it kind of opened up. And, I know I had a Reiki session done and they were just like, make sure you drink water, make sure you ground. And I was like, what do I need all that for? And then it hit like a ton of bricks. And I was like, yeah, because it was just like, just opened up the floodgates to really experience the energy even more.
And then in addition to going back to basics or going back to the foundation is, group classes is missing at Ascend because online, that's how we started offering the group meditations, the new moon ceremonies, the full moon ceremonies. So we're going to get back into that. So in Salem, we have a space on Derby Street, 318 Derby Street, and we're transforming that into Ascend Studio. And that's where we're going to get back into offering classes. So we're going to be offering new moon ceremonies, full moon ceremonies, meditation mixed with yoga movements, a little bit of Tai Chi. And in addition, we're going to launch an aura class. So similar to my sessions, but imagine if you're going to come in for a meditation and chakra balancing class, but before you take the class, you take an aura photo. take the class, and then after the class, take another photo. Because we want to really show the clients what meditation and sound healing, what it can do to your body, your mind, to your heart. And by doing it through the aura, you can see what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I love that because I'm just like, I'm listening and I'm like picturing it all. And I could see just how beautiful that is going to be, the expansion and just the fact that so many people have different things that they can get as far as services for what you guys are trying to create, especially with the new space that you have now to do the readings. So I love that. And you just getting back to this work, I feel like that's very just heart opening and just in such alignment. So it's beautiful that you are actually stepping back into that and just really expanding on what Ascend is going to bring to the world, really. And that's how I see it because it's a world impact. And so, will you be offering those services online or just in Zoom? Is that something that you would have people maybe view and be able to do at home?
So right now we're focusing on in-person experiences.
Okay.
So like my session is in person, and then the classes at Ascend Studio, it's in person for now. We don't want to be too ambitious and do live streaming and in person at the same exact time. But eventually, because we do know that we have a community all over the world, so there will be times where we offer certain certifications and trainings live, in person, and online. But for right now, the classes are going to be in person. It gets people to have to come to Salem.
Yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say, 'cause you're definitely gonna get me over there just to get I am definitely booking a session because 'cause I've never had an in-person healing session, so I know that that's gonna be amazing, and I look forward to it. I was just talking to my sister the other day, I was like, "We gotta plan our next trip because 'cause I've just been so busy," but please make sure whoever's listening, we're gonna put all the links and everything below so that you can contact Carmelo and just get to know their page as well with their Instagram and social medias. So before we close out, Carmelo, I would love to ask you, what is it that you would love? Let's say somebody who is just beginning this journey in their entrepreneurship and who really has this dream of opening up their own business, but they're afraid and they just don't know what to do, or they just feel like they're just kind of in a stagnant place. What words of wisdom could you leave them with that they can just trust in themselves to do what they have to do?
Well, first you have to find one person who believes in you, a friend, a parent, a sibling, an aunt, just one person who's going to be your cheerleader. Okay. The reason why
Mhm,
I'm saying that is because after that, don't tell anybody what you're doing. Don't tell anybody your ideas, because you're going to get a lot of negativity.
mhm,
Because, or why would you ask or tell someone what you're going to do if they don't have their own ambitions inside their heart? So that's some advice, because it's been 5 years that I've been in business. And if I shared with people what I was actually going to do, they would tell me that I was crazy. What are you doing? Because I gave up an amazing career. I was with that company for 16 and a half years. I
mhm,
had, I did whatever I wanted to. I had unlimited vacation at that point. I mean, not unlimited, but I had like 6 weeks vacation, all these benefits. And when I would express to people that I was unhappy and I wasn't feeling I was living my authentic self in my life, everyone was like, "Are you crazy? Why would you give up that job?" And blah 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 blah. But look where I am today. If I didn't give up that job, I would have never been on the spiritual path. I would have never ended up in Salem. I would have never had Ascend. And I'm proud to say that we grew into a multi-million-dollar business.
mhm.
So I'm proud of that. And I'm not ashamed of that, because we are employing over 20 people full time, giving benefits, health insurance, paid vacation, workers' comp, you name it. I'm proud of that, because 5 years ago, we didn't have any of that.
That's beautiful.
So that's would be my advice, is don't listen to people who don't have your same ambitions. It's okay not to be liked. You're not going to be liked by everyone, and that's certainly okay. You have to find your tribe, find your people, and always be authentically you and honest. And I wear my heart on my sleeve. And sometimes that is not the greatest thing, but everyone always knows where they stand.
Yes. Oh my gosh, those are beautiful words, real words. And just telling people out there, just trust yourself, trust your own authenticity, your passion, your drive. And I really love that. And you really should be proud of what you have built for not just yourself, but everybody that is part of Ascend. And you are all amazing. I love your shop. I love your heart. Life is life, right? We came here for the human experience, even though we are spiritual beings and we integrate both within,
Hmm.
dynamic of this human experience. And I think at the end of the day, getting to where you have to go is never an easy ride. And I think that's what people need to know, that if you are striving to do something that is exceptionally successful, it's not going to be easy. You're going to have moments where you feel like you're failing. You're going to have moments where you feel like, oh my gosh, did I make the right decision? And I'm a firm believer in there is no wrong decision, because we're always going to learn from every move and step we make, because it is part of the process. Would you say?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And you shouldn't feel ashamed for
Yeah.
wanting more. And
Hmm.
that's what I had to sit with for a little bit, because, nobody understands entrepreneurship unless you're in it. Year one, year two, no one saw me in the middle of the night working all night long, trying to make sure that my store was stocked, that I had the right products. No one sees all that. Well, I think it was maybe like 5 months ago, I was on Instagram and I saw this entrepreneur founder's profile, and she wrote in her thing, like her bio, like multi-million-dollar CEO.
Hmm.
And so she didn't say she was a multimillionaire. She just said multi-million-dollar CEO. So I put that on my Instagram. And I want to be honest,
Hmm.
I got so much flack for that. Like, someone put it on Reddit and was like, that I'm this big capitalist. And I didn't say that I was a multimillionaire. I said that I manage multi-million. And I'm proud of that. Like, why should I feel ashamed of that? Like, we created this from nothing, and people wanted to make me feel small again. And I'm not going to let that happen.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. And it's funny you're talking about that, because I feel like a lot of that belief comes from the mindset when it comes to like the belief in money. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole thing
Uh-huh.
to back
That's
there.
that's not, that's another whole topic, right? But the thing is like, but the same people who are criticizing me for saying that are on Amazon buying Amazon. So it's okay to make Jeff Bezos a billionaire, but some kid from East Boston had a dream that employs a lot of people, wanting to create a successful business, but yet I get crap for that.
Well, there's so many opinions on spiritual work and charging. In order to run a successful business, like Six of Cups, we're giving and receiving. It's not just one sided here. And I feel like what Ascend is doing and how you give and receive, I mean, it's just a lot, not just monetarily, energy. You don't see what happens in the background of how you get to where you get. It just brought me back to this quote that I saw about people see the success, but they don't see what it took to get there. They don't see the tears, they don't see the mental bruises that one goes through in order to create a business, just even have the thought. And then the mental struggles of, can I? It's a lot of work and it's not easy, but I love the message that you have to leave for everybody here today, that is just believe in yourself. And that's what I feel like you're saying. Believe in yourself, believe in your heart, believe in what it is that you are trying to achieve.
You deserve it. If you're listening, you deserve it. You deserve to live your most authentic self. And if you're someone right now in a job where you don't feel appreciative, you feel drained, find what makes you happy and do it. You are deserving of that.
If you have just one person or maybe just yourself, sometimes people don't have anybody in their corner. I feel like having one person that is there to hype you up and be your cheerleader is like a gift from the universe. So that's just a beautiful thing to have by your side when you have that. I'm so honored to just view and just watch and just kind of feel like I'm on the outside observing, but it's been a beautiful thing to watch you grow, to watch Ascend grow. And I'm just honored to have you here today to share your story with everybody. And for anybody out there that's listening and you are wanting to do something and you think your dream is a little bit too big, I want you to listen to Carmelo's story and just know that there is no dream that is too big, that you could absolutely do it. You can do it. It just takes you believing in yourself, and it just takes you knowing that you absolutely can. So I just want to thank Carmelo for coming on today. For anybody that is wanting to find Carmelo, where can they find you?
Yeah, so my personal Instagram and Facebook is at Good Karma Salem, karma with a C. And Ascend Get Lifted, that's our handle for Ascend. Unfortunately, there's a bunch of phonies out there with fake accounts. We all have check marks, so at Good Karma Salem and Ascend Get Lifted.
Yes, and all those links will be below. So I just want to thank all the listeners for listening in here today. Thank you, Carmelo. Till next time.